Welcome all to the weekly outlook. Boone here from EWPRO. Hope you all enjoyed the Easter break. Getting into the weekly outlook, starting with the DXY on the daily. We're looking for that WXY, X2 and the Z down. This wave Z has come and broke that low, so it can finish at any time. Ideally, like I said in the last weekly outlook before Easter, ideally we get down to this 161.8. There's nothing to suggest this wave Z is over yet on this time frame. On the H4, we are starting to get that bullish divergence. So it's not the best. You don't want to be selling down here. On the H1, we're getting this nice impulse up. So, early next week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, if you get a nice correction in here or flag, you could look for the buy, because on the H4 we do have that bullish divergence, and wave Z on the daily may be over. So I'd be looking for any buy setup. Make sure you get a nice buy setup before you look for a buy though, because it may not be over on the daily, that wave Z. AU on the daily. So nothing's really changed since my last weekly outlook. We're looking for this A, B, C, and then we get that A, B, C. So nothing's really changed. We're in this correction, and like I mentioned last time, this can go on for quite some time. We're in a correction, and it's going to be choppy for quite a while. On the H4, like I said in my last weekly outlook, I've got it as a complex correction. I've got it labeled as a possible complex correction, because we're looking for that larger correction. So I was looking at a WXY. We may get a choppy X2 in here, and then a Z up, and then any sell setup I get, I'd be looking for the sell over here. This may be all, and we just get an A, B, C here, and that's possible. And that may be the end of the correction. Because, like I said, if I go back to the daily, I'm looking for an A, B, C in here. On the H1, is there any buy setup? There is no buy setup at this stage. We've got a bull hidden here. You have to be very careful, because this can, give you a buy setup and go and break the top for that bull hidden. So, if you get you really want a nice sell setup to take it. And I'd be taking lower risk as well, for the sell at this stage, because we have that possible bull hidden. Ideally, this keeps on coming down, takes out the possible bull hidden, and then gives us a correction, and then you can load up and look for that sell. Until that happens, the sell is quite risky. So you can look for either a buy for the bull hidden, or the sell, ideally, goes and breaks this low over here and then gives you the sell. EU on the daily. This one here, I am still looking at as a flat. I'm not looking at that as all the correction as an A, B, C. It's similar to AU. I'm sort of looking for an A. This is a B. We get a C down here as a running or expanding flat, and then we get the A, B, C. On the H4, we do have that bearish divergence now. You know, we got these three up in here, 1, 2, 3. You know, we'll go down on the lower time frame and see if there is a setup. You might have to go down to the lower time frames, and if you get a sell set up in here, you know, you could look for the sell for that C down on the H4. Yeah, I wouldn't be buying it. We got all this bearish divergence. I mean, even on the H1, we got all this bearish divergence. So, you know, I'm more interested in the sell for that daily, you know, A, B, C as a running or expanding flat, and then we can look for the buy. So we'll be looking to sell this down in here. GU on the daily. This is quite complex. I'm still looking for, I thought I had my count on here. Oh, I'm looking at it, some sort of a correction in here. I'm starting to look at this as a triangle, as an A, B, C, D. Then we get a E as an expanding triangle, and then another one up, like an A, B, C. That's what it's starting to look like to me, because this is expanding. I was sort of looking for, if I go down to the H4, you'll see what I was looking for on the H4. I still am, you know, we got those 5 up, and then we got this A, B, C. So I'm looking at this as the flat in here. I'm still looking at this, even though it's broken that top, still looking at it as a complex correction flat, and we get some sort of an A, B, we get a C down. I'd be looking for a sell down to this 100 fib. And then we'll see what happens. It may be expanding, like I said. It may come down here, down to the 161.8 as an expanding triangle. If it does come down to this 161.8, breaks that low, I'll be looking at it as an A, B, C, D. This is an E, and then any buy setup I'd be looking to buy as an expanding triangle. So, but I definitely would be taking half off at this 100 fib here if I got the sell set up, because this may be some sort of more complex correction, and it's just a running or expanding or a running flat in here, and it just comes down to this 100 fib or maybe the 123.6, and we get a buy set up, you know. So yeah, on the H1, do we have a setup? We are getting a setup here. We do have the bearish divergence, so any sell setup I get in here, I'll be looking for a sell. This may take Monday, Tuesday, and even Wednesday until you get the sell. But yeah, any sell setup I get, I'll be looking for it. NU on the daily. See, this is, excuse me, this has become a little bit more complex too, because I was looking for that A, B, C, and I was hoping it would go from there. It didn't. Instead, we're getting this more complex. It never went, like I said last weekly outlook. This isn't impulsive. If it was going to go from, and this was the end of the wave B, it would go from here. Instead, we got this corrective. So I'm looking at an A, B, C, and then possibly an A, B, C for the correction. And then we get that A, B, and we get that C up. So because this is looking so corrective, you know, you just can't buy it. On the H4, this may be complete now, as that A, B, C. We Excuse me. I've got a frog in my throat. So this is going to be very difficult. We got a nice impulse down, but then we got an impulse up and an impulse down again. So this is going to become more complex as well. I dare say we'll get a correction in here and then one more down. If you're selling for this one down in here, you have to be very careful, because more than likely it's going to become more complex, and then we get an A, B, C as a flat in the middle, and then we get that A, B, C, or WXY. So, if you're selling this, just be mindful that you can get another one up here, and then this is the sell that you don't want to miss over here. If we get this structure here, and you get a sell set up, that's the one you don't want to miss, because that'll be the larger impulses, the A, B, C. It's going to be quite difficult to trade because the price action it's giving. We're getting impulse, impulse, impulse. GY on the daily, we got that WXY, and we sort of got this like WXY, X2, and a Z up in here. This is looking very corrective. I'm more interested in a sell. I was looking at an A, a B, and a C, but this is too corrective. It looks too corrective. There's something wrong there. H4, we're getting that bearish divergence. So you definitely don't want to be looking for the buys up here. That's what marketers do. You can see it on the H4, what I was looking for, a WXY, X2, and a Z down. Z up, sorry. This may not be over. Like, we may get some sort of an A, B, C as a flat in here. If you get that and a buy set up, well, then you could look for the buy. It's still going to be very risky, this buy. I'll be more interested in, we even get bearish divergence in here, so I'm more interested in a sell. It's not giving a sell setup at the moment, and this is looking more bullish than anything. When we look at the H1, this can be an A, we get a B in here, we get a C up, and then we get an A, B, C as a running or expanding flat, and then we get the buy set up. I wouldn't be buying this in here. I'd be waiting for the structure and then looking for this buy. Buying over here with all that bearish divergence, that's what marketers do. Don't do it. You'll never be consistent if you trade like that. The UY on the daily, I've got this on here. No, okay, so we got that A, and we're looking for an A, B, C, and then a C up for an A, B, C. This here, I'm looking at this as an impulse. This is an impulse. We can see that this is more corrective. So that's why I'm looking for an A, B, C in here, more downside, and then one up in here. I mean, if this goes and breaks the top, it's still going to be a B wave, and we'll get an A, B, C as a flat in there, and then we get the A, B, C. So to be buying in here in this correction, you can buy, but you're buying in a B wave, so you have to be extremely careful. You can see that it's choppy, impulse, deep correction, impulse, rather deep in correction, it's just breaking the top. So this may just break the top and then come back down. This can go on for quite some time. until it's finished, and then we get one down, and then then it goes like I showed on the high time frame. On the H1, there's really nothing, I mean, if you're bored and you wanted something to trade, you could look for a buy setup in here, just to break that top. There's no ball hidden or anything. There's no ball hidden here to go and break that top. So there's nothing really to trade. So it's more of a scalp if you're looking for this buy. It's more of a scalp, and it's just not something I do. If you want to learn how to trade properly, by all means join the group, because it will really spin you out. The system setups that I teach, they're extremely high probability trades, and you won't see them anywhere else. UCAD, we're looking at that WXY. Like I've been saying for a long time, I'm looking for a correction a similar size to this over here. Now we're getting that, and we got some sort of an A, B, C in here. We get an A, B, C, but this can turn more complex as well. We can still get that other one up in here, as we may have a bull hidden there. I'm not quite sure, but we still can get another one up in here for a W, X, Y, X2 and a Z up, and then give that A, B, C, because we need to fill in that time factor over here. The H4, we do have bullish divergence, and we are getting a little bit of an impulse in here. I'll see if there's any buy setup. I think you'd have to go down to the lower time frames to find the buy setup on this one at this stage. Ideally, for the buy, we'd want to break above that top, then a correction or a flag, and then you can look for the buy. And until you get this, it's risky, because on the H4, there's nothing to suggest that this is over yet. And on the daily, well, on the daily, it can fall over from here. It can be an A, this is all of the B, and then we get the C down in here. So, you've got to be a little bit careful there. But we got that bullish divergence. Just draw a quick trend line there. Yeah. So really, like I said, we want to break above there, bullish setup, and we can look for the buy, just as a scalp to go and break this top. But yeah, I wouldn't be selling down here. We don't have any bullish divergence. So if you got some sort of a 3 up here, break, bounce off this trend line and a sell setup, you could look for the sell. But then I dare say if you get this one down in here, you'll start to get that bullish divergence. So you'll have to be careful. It's more of a scalp. The Swissy on the daily. So we broke that low over there, like I've mentioned, when we broke it over here, because at that stage, until that low got broken, we had a ball hidden, and it could possibly go up and break that top. We ruled that out as soon as the hidden divergence was invalid, and then we've been looking at this A, B, C. We got that C up, and now we're getting that A, B, C. We're starting to get that bullish divergence. This can end at any time. But, there's nothing to say that this wave is over yet either, on the daily. H4, this is looking more like some sort of a flat. I'd be looking for like an A, B, C up to this 100 fib. as a flat, and then we get an A, B, C. So we'll have a look on the H1 to see if we're getting a bullish setup. We're not getting a bullish setup at this stage. And you can't really wait for this top to be broken either, because that's where the 100 fib is. If it does take off and gets to that 100 fib, well, more than likely, if it gives a correction in here, well, you might get an expanding flat. But yeah, it'd be risky to buy this one over here, you know, for that, because we're already at that 100 fib. You'd really got to go down onto the lower time frames. I dare say on the lower time frames, you're getting a WXY. You'd be looking for an X2 and a Z up. It may take off on you, and you get up to that 100 fib. EG on the daily. So this one's becoming very complex as well. Just looking for an A, B, C. Instead, we're getting this. You know, there's something wrong. So we have to look at it a little bit different. So I'll be looking at an A, B, C in here, and then some sort of an A, B before we get that C down. Me personally, I don't trade this pair. It's too messy. You know, this is it's a very difficult pair to trade. It's just not worth my time trading it. But on the H4, we get that WXY. We're getting this X2, and I'll be looking for a Z down. The H1, I mean, you know, you'd be looking at some sort of WXY, so you'd have to wait for an X2 similar size correction as this over here, and then you could look for a buy just for the Z up, and then you'd be looking for the sell. WTI on the daily, one of my favorite pairs to trade. So we're looking at that WXY. A, B, C. We got up to that 100 fib now. So we may get another one down. If this is a flat here, we may get more downside, but we can't. You need a nice setup to sell. You know, we're always looking for this, and it's got to that 100 fib now. You know, the H1 is where the action will happen. We're getting all this bearish divergence. So it's not giving a sell setup though. This is more bullish for more upside. You know, wherever this finishes, I'd be looking for a nice impulse down, a sell setup, and then I'd be looking for the sell. And then I'd be looking to load up on the buy, you know, because as soon as this, if this does come down here, breaks this low, or even this low here, you know, this could be a long-term buy, because over here we got that wave Z up, and we lost all that bearish divergence. So ever since we got this over here, I've just been looking for a correction for more upside. Yeah, you really need to wait for a nice sell up. I wouldn't be looking for the buys. I mean, you can risk it. You know, there's more of scalping if you're buying up here. We've got that bearish divergence, so it becomes very risky. Looking at gold on the daily. So as we know on the weekly, you know, this can go up to the 123.6 and the 161.8 in the wave Z. Not sure why my count isn't on there anymore, but you know, H4. I'm looking for looking for this A, B, C. You could look for a scalp to the downside, just down to this 100 fib here. Maybe it turns into expanding flat down to this 161.8. But I'll be looking for an A, B, C. I'm looking at this as corrective, and we can see it's corrective by, you know, how choppy it is. On the H1, is there a setup? No, there's not. We got a bull hidden here. It's not valid to trade. You know, so this can be an A, B, C here for a flat. So if you get a buy setup in here, you could look for it just to go and break that top as a flat. Ideally for the sell now, because we have that possible bull hidden, really would like to see that low broken and then a correction to take out that possible bull hidden. And then you'll get a more high probability trade here for the sell. You know, if you get an A, a B, a C, or, you know, it becomes more complex, yeah, and you can see it's corrective in here, well, then you could look for the sell. But yeah, or else you'd have to go down to the lower time frame and look for, you know, a correction and a sell. And like I said, if you get that a bullish setup on Monday or Tuesday, you know, you could look for it, and it may take off on you with that bull hidden and play out. Or even if it doesn't go and break the top, it may give you a rather deep correction. Silver on the daily. So we got that WXY, looking at the X2 and a Z up. We had that bull hidden and it's gone up and broken that top. We may have even lost this divergence here now. We've actually lost the divergence. So we don't have any bearish divergence now. So I'd just be looking for a correction back to the 50 fib, and then we'll be looking for more upside. Actually, there might be a nice sell. You can look for a sell down to that 50. And we're getting it. It's more on the H1. You know, it's still a bit risky yet. I mean, we do have bearish divergence, so we're only looking for sells. But, you know, we have a possible bull hidden here. So this may give us another one up as some sort of an A, B, C, running or expanding or running flat, and then give us one more up. But wherever this ends, you know, any sell set up on the lower time frames, I'll be looking for that sell back to at least that 50 fib. Bitcoin on the daily. This has become quite difficult. I'm still looking at as some sort of an A up 1, 2, 3, B and a C up, and this is a C up. You know, getting some sort of a W, X, Y, X2. You really need to wait for this correction. You need to wait for another correction to trade that Z up. I wouldn't be buying it up here. We may even have bearish divergence on this already, have we? Yeah, we've actually already got bearish divergence. It's gone past that 100 fib, but we have bearish divergence. So I definitely wouldn't be looking for the buy up here. H4, we got that bearish divergence. We got some sort of an A, B, C. This may not be over yet. H1, we got some sort of a like W, X, Y, getting an X2. You'd be looking for a Z up. You'd have to go down onto the lower time frames and see what's happening in here. But again, you know, I wouldn't be, like I mentioned on the H4 on the daily, I wouldn't be buying this up here. Very risky. But if you're looking for a scalp, as this is some sort of an A, B, C as a flat, you'd want a really nice setup in here. System setup to buy. SPX on the daily. So I put this trading view idea out over here somewhere, and it's playing out. We've got that A, B, and we're getting this wave C up. So nothing's changed for the last, well, quite a few weeks. H4, we're waiting for that correction before Easter. In my last weekly outlook, we're looking at WXY. I said wait for the correction and then look for that wave Z up. We're sort of getting some sort of an A, a B, a C as maybe a running or expanding flat to complete this wave X too, and then we'll be looking for that wave Z up. Actually, if I just show you, so this is a SPX 500. This is where I put the trade idea out, and I'll click play. You can see that it's virtually just playing out lovely, And at the time when I put this out, down here, everyone was thinking, oh, well, all over the news and everything, oh, we're going to get a big crash, the stock market's crashing. Well, no, it's not crashing. It may crash after we get this C up. It may crash, but not at this stage. So yeah, on the H1, there's really nothing you can do. We're getting this bearish divergence. I'd be looking for the sell as a scout for this, possible A, B, C, and then I'd be looking for the buy, just for a scalp. AU 200, very similar to SPX. We got that WXY, actually, daily. So I was looking at that A, B. We got 50 fib retrace there, and then we were looking for that C up. It never got anywhere near that 100 fib. So I was starting to look for an A, B, C as a running. It turned into an expanding flat, and now we're getting that C up. We're getting the A, B, C. So you may have missed the trade if you trade this. I mean, well, if you trade it, you would already be on it. But so on the H4, we got that WXY. You need to wait for the X2, and then you can look for that Z up. You really have to wait for this, and then the buy setup to buy. The FTSE, this is exactly the same on the H4. We get that WXY. Wait for your X2, and then you can look for a buy. You got to wait for this. You got to wait for the correction. And this may get quite choppy up here as well, until it gives you that X2, and then you get that Z up. So be careful. For the sell, I mean, if you're looking for the sell, you'd be looking for the 38.2. So if you're looking for the sell on the lower time frames, you'd be looking to target that 38.2. And this fib will change depending on how high that goes. So you keep on adjusting your fib until you start to get that correction, and then and the sell setup, and then you'd be targeting that 38.2. Once that gets hit, you'd start looking for the buy for the wave Z up. And the DAX is very similar. The H4, we're looking at that WXY. Wait for the wave Y to be over. give you that X2. You could look for the sell down to the 38.2, and then you'd be looking for that Z up. So I hope you all enjoyed the weekly outlook. If you did, please hit the like button, subscribe, share. Enjoy your weekend, and I'll see you out there next week.